By now, most of you have heard my news. I will be retiring on September 1st. And smart people say that retirement is huge. It's a big transition point. My wife retired a couple of months ago after being a church musician most of her adult life, and now it's my turn. I almost lost her to cancer 8 years ago. I did not take her for granted before that, and I certainly have not taken her for granted since then. This lockdown has reminded both of us of how much we enjoy our quiet life together. I've been ordained 34 years now. That's a long time to be on call 24/7, a long time to focus on leading a church, a long time to be in church every single Sunday. It's time for a change for me. It's time for the next chapter of my life. It's time for me to figure out who I am when I'm not being Father Mark. Over 30 years ago now, a little kid gave me my title. It's a title better than Father or the Reverend or Pastor. And I've told you this story many times. I was a young priest visiting a young family in my church near Chicago, and the 5-year-old of the family saw me pull into the driveway and ran into the house and yelled, "Mom, Mom, the church guy is here." And I have used that title proudly ever since, the church guy. But now it's time for me to stop being the church guy. It's time for me to be just a guy. I bet you are familiar with this phrase, "Now hear this, now hear this." It means pay attention because a command or an order is following. It's used a lot in the United States Navy, and I would hear it from time to time on the Star Trek science fiction series. Most of us understand, "Now hear this." Well, let me tell you about a friend of mine. Her name is Carrie. She's funny, she's smart, and she's artistic. She's also a priest. I've known Carrie for 20 years. In fact, I was serving on the Diocesan Standing Committee 20 years ago when we were approving her for ordination. Carrie has always been one of my favorite priests. At clergy conferences in the past, I loved it when she and I and a few other experienced clergy folk would sit together during a social time and tell stories. We would make each other laugh, and we would share our delight in serving as priests for our churches. Well, I was once at a meeting at Carrie's church, and her church was in Liverpool, and I noticed a poster on her office wall that struck me. I admired it, and I expressed to her how much I liked her poster, and she told me she'd made it herself. I told you she's artistic. She made it on a spiritual retreat. Well, a few years after that, she gave me the poster as a gift, and here it is. Now, hear this. Carrie used the old "now hear this" phrase that we all know, and she turned it into a spiritual meditation. Any worthwhile spiritual practice will help us deal with where we are right now in this present moment. We need to live in the present moment, not the past, not the future. We should, as they say, be here now. So, St. Mark's Church needs to deal with what is now and what is here. And Mark Giroux needs to deal with what is now and what is here. I became your rector when I was 39 years old. In September, I'll be 65 years old. It's time for me to retire. It's important for me because it's time for the next chapter of my life with my family. And it's important for you because it's time for a different leader. The world has changed. with this pandemic. The church will have to change as well. Technology is going to remain a hugely important tool for the church. I don't know who your next priest will be, but she or he will certainly be better with technology than I have been. I try, but I'm a 20th century guy. I'll still be doing sermons for you through the end of August, along with prayer services and skits for kids. We can talk on the phone. We can email back and forth for the next 6 weeks while I'm still your priest. And we will always continue to pray for each other. Now, hear this. The good news is that God has not changed. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever, according to the New Testament book of Hebrews. God will love and lead St. Mark's Church in the coming 25 years, every bit as much as God has loved and led St. Mark's Church in the past 25 years and in the past 60 years from the church's foundation. So don't be afraid. And by the way, the bishop's staff will help the parish, and especially the wardens and the vestry, do what has to be done in the coming time of transition. Our diocese actually has a priest called the Canon for Transitions and Church Development. This priest is very talented. This priest is my friend Carrie, who made that poster. So don't be afraid. You have a great team of leaders, wardens, treasurer, vestry, office manager, and webmaster. You have support from my friend Carrie. And above all, you have the strength and the love of the God to whom you and this church has always belonged. We'll talk some more next week, so stay tuned.